Well, good evening, everyone. As some of you know, last week I visited Paris, France, not Paris, Illinois, by the way. And I was fortunate enough that prior to me going over there, another YouTuber reached out to me and actually wanted to do an interview while I was in Paris. And so this is actually a clip from that interview, and I hope you enjoy it. And by all means, feel free to leave comments, like, and subscribe, and let me know what you think. See ya.
3, 2, 1. Bonjour et bonsoir. Je m'appelle Joshua et ceci est le podcast Un type, un tipi, un chien. Avec moi, ce soir, galune américain qui s'appelle Zu Azi Josh. Aki awi si une page YouTube appelée Some Dude and Some Dog. Présente-toi, mon numéro avec Josh.
Do you mind if I call you Ja? No? Okay. Ja Su Hui. That is French for Josh, right? Joshua? That's what I thought.
It's okay, carry on.
Yeah, so both of us have a YouTube channel called Some Dude and Some Dog. That's crazy. And my dog is actually, we discussed this in the green room beforehand. My dog is actually named after Boulder, Colorado, which is a city nestled amongst the mountains. And your dog is named Chamonix, which here in France is a city nestled amongst the mountains, which is Mount Blanc, which is the Europe's tallest mountain. So when you reached out to me, I knew I had to take this opportunity because what in the world are the odds of all this happening? So I just want to say thank you. I want to have some fun with this interview and this conversation and just kind of see where it leads, though. So what's your first question? Ja Su Hui. What's your first question?
Josh. Is that your real name? Okay. So you recently visited Paris, oui?
So yes, I visited Paris recently. It was part of a sales incentive trip for my employer.
Why is there a dog in the newsroom? What was your favorite, how do you say, site to visit?
Yeah, so what was my favorite place that I visited this week? I would say the Eiffel Tower for a couple different reasons. Arc de Triomphe was amazing. Montmartre was great. Cathedral of Notre Dame was wonderful. Like the Seine River, we'll talk about that. Yeah, just some super cool places though. But as far as like the big things that most tourists do and they come and see here and whatnot, Notre Dame was great, and there's a couple of four of us that were walking along, and I told another lady, not the one that I brought, a different lady. I told her I said that why one goal on my checklist was to be able to find Quasimodo somewhere in the church. She, when we're in the moment, when we're actually at the church, she didn't understand the reference from the book, of course. And it was probably like 12 hours later. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. We're at a bar, and she's like, "I just got it, I think." And she goes, "The reason why, Josh, you told me you wanted to stuff your hoodie in the shoulder underneath your jacket was because that was Quasimodo's hunched over position in the book and or in the movie, though." So it was a great learning experience to be here and to see a lot of great shops and sites. But I'll also say it was also just a lot of fun. I mentioned I have a couple of friends here at work that are like personal friends of mine outside of work, and just to kind of get to know them on a different level as well, which is amazing opportunity though.
Is this thing on?
And I think one of the things that was really great for me was things that happened serendipitously and things that happened when I wasn't looking for them. And what I really mean by that is there was a morning that we went up to Montmartre, and we stood up at the base of the church. We looked down over the entire city of Paris, and it was really, really beautiful. And I think one thing that was actually really great, besides just looking over the city and kind of being in that moment of inflection and thought process and just basking in the amazement of a geographically ginormous city, was right around the corner from that site was actually this little artist square, and there's 100 artists out there. There's a cafe out there, and people are just sitting and enjoying the ambiance of that, and it was really amazing, and frankly kind of humbling just to kind of sit there and just know that. Think about what a lifestyle these artists have. They sit in the chairs and they paint all day, and American tourists come by and spend, money, and not just American, but tourists come by knowing that they're right there on stage and they're live and they're vulnerable, and like this is what they do. And I thought it was just the amazing, really cool thing.
And did you support any of the painters in the artist square?
I didn't have any euros, I didn't have any paper money on me, and so this one woman that I was to buy a painting for, she says that she doesn't have any, she can't take a debit card, so I need to go an ATM. So I asked her, like, where's the un machino? Wasn't trying to be rude, I just had no idea what that is. Where's the machine to get paper money? And she pointed me down this alley. And again, I think sometimes the greatest things in life happen when we're not looking for them to happen. And a lot of American pop culture, I hear an accordion in the streets of Paris, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of yesteryear, more of like 100 years ago, for example, in post World War One Paris, what that would be like, and so when I'm walking down this alleyway to get to this ATM, here's this gentleman, just dressed humbly, sitting on a stool, smoking a cigarette, has a black cat kind of parading back and forth on his shoulders, and meanwhile he's playing the accordion. And it was really just that apropos kind of scene that subconsciously was nestled in my brain that I think I was actually kind of looking for.
You say apropos? Well, that may sound like French to some. I am not familiar with this term.
Oh, what is apropos? Apropos means most appropriate, cliche, perfect, genuine, that kind of thing. It was like really, really well done. He wasn't there because of American movies. American movies symbolizing him, but without me having visited Paris before, I didn't realize that it was a real thing. And so, like, when I watched those movies, I didn't have the emotional connection, the emotional attachment to that accordion players in the alleys of Paris are a real thing. So when I came here, it was actually even more apropos. Yes, oui.
Did you stumble upon any hidden gemstones?
Yeah, so, man, two of the other places that I found that were just absolutely wonderful is La Crème de Paris. And I had a friend who actually just got back from France about 10 days ago, right before I left. And he said, you absolutely have to go to this place. And it's right across the Seine from Cathedral Notre Dame, as you know. And so it was really, really great. And I just remember I had this like beautifully moist carrot cake, and that's kind of the base, the undertone. And then on top of that was a salted butter caramel icing with crushed pistachios, and then there was actually a lime ice cream on top of that. And having that little bit of that citrus was refreshing and zesty on top of, caramel butter icing on top of very rich, very moist carrot cake. So those layerings in there, and the pistachio kind of hit you after all of it was over as well. And so just that layering just goes back to the artistry that happens at a place like this, though. And I had probably the best cappuccino of my life. So it was just, La Crème de Paris was great. And
This just in. This is not my chest hair. This is a large microphone. My normal microphone is in the shop. So play no disregard to this microphone. Not my chest hair. Please continue. What else did you visit?
But I really want to go to the Shakespeare and Company bookstore.
We French like to say the word magnifique because it is a magnifique word.
If I were to be a fly on the wall in that place, I would be the most educated, well-cultured fly in the world, just knowing that the number of authors, the number of novelists that have gone through here, and Walt Whitman's daughter, owns and manages it, and it's just this beautifully well orchestrated book fair that everything was pristinely located. Even though I'm not saying that it was pristinely located in the fact that I knew where everything was going to go.
Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm.
Supposed to go, but everything was as if I had anticipated or I hoped for. So in that regards, it was beautifully and perfectly done. The concrete was magnificently aged appropriate. And you go up the stairs and they make the perfect creaking sound that you would want. And then when you get upstairs, the thing that I really, really enjoyed and appreciate about this place is there is a board for you to leave notes to people behind you, and to create a connection with other people, and that's really what my farm's about. And what I really liked about this note wall, for lack of a better word, was all these different languages, and we're up there, and it could be a proverb, it could be a religious, spiritual, taking from a Bible or whatever book, or just people just having fun and saying have the best day ever, and always be positive, and aspirations, goals of theirs. So it was actually a really, really cool thing.
We for tonight our hard time has come to an end. Et paix tout ce regard de la maison. Chez vous soir. Au revoir. Et ça et vous des regard notes. Prochain épisode. Fin.
Well, that's the short version of the interview. I hope you all enjoyed it, and hope you have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching.